Have you ever found yourself in a pattern of constantly having to react to life? There are 1,000 things on your need to do list, 62 others on your I'd really like to do list, but the fires are constantly popping up. The day is done, you drop into bed feeling the sting of failure because true productivity didn't happen. And you vow to yourself tomorrow you will work harder and longer to accomplish the items from today. The problem is that tomorrow comes and the hamster wheel continues to turn. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Whenever I'm asked to speak on the topic of organization, I think the concept of time management is the most crucial first step. And that's just what we're going to be learning about in today's Introduction to Time Mapping class. So, what can you expect from our time together today? Well, in our time, we're going to identify your must-dos, discern your key values, and create a personal time map to help you maximize your productivity. But first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Melissa Todd. I am the owner of More in 24. These are my 3 precious children. I am a mom to them. I have Emily, who is my oldest. She is 17. She's a senior in high school. Aiden is my man in the middle. He's 15 and eating everything that's not nailed down. And Bria is my miracle baby. After 8 miscarriages, God allowed me to have one last pregnancy, giving us our sweet girl. She's 12 and a real blessing. So where have I been these last 20 years? Well, I've spent my life as a teacher, first in a classroom and then at the kitchen table for my 3 children as a homeschool mom. After working with so many families throughout these years, I began to see some common patterns. Families were struggling with many of the same issues: home organization, time management, food choices, wellness issues. And these struggles often were creating conflict and feelings of deep shame. It's an incredible gift every time I get to go and help a family find solutions to thrive in a way that they hadn't been before. My passion to assist people find their best selves was born. More in 24 was created to broaden my reach, allowing me the opportunities to help even more families. We offer local services working with our clients, but we also host a website, www.morein24.com, that provides teaching and instruction in the areas that are mentioned above. So why do I mention all of that? Well, for me, after I had our 3rd baby, I truly believed that my life had become a plate-spinning circus act. I had 3 children under the age of 5, was running a home-based business, and homeschooling our oldest daughter. Every day brought with it a host of fires, from the baby soaking through another set of clothes to the 5-year-old trying to fight her way through math at the kitchen table, and the 3-year-old trying to lasso his ceiling fan with his belt just because it looked like fun. True story. Somewhere in the middle of all of that fun, I needed to clean, do laundry, dinner, errands, appointments, work with clients, bookkeep, be a wife, lesson plans, and try not to lose my identity in the process. It was a beautiful mess. I would roll out of bed with the best of intentions and roll back into bed, beating myself up for all the things that I had failed to accomplish that day. It was during this most challenging time in my mothering career that I found a way to be my most productive self. And this system has served me well through the years and will continue to work for singles and married, for the young and the not so young, for those who work out of the home and those who work in the home. No matter what your circumstances are, this system will guide you to accomplish more over time and relieve the guilt and the stress that you may be holding. In a few steps each week, you can control your time instead of having your time control you. Throughout our time together today, we're going to work on a series of activities to help you get thinking about this concept of mapping your time. So, with your tomorrow in mind, I want you to take out a piece of paper and list as many of the items that need to be completed tomorrow. Every day we have so many things that pull for our attention. Things that in and of themselves aren't bad. However, not everything that we do in a day is a must do. And when working through my time mapping, the first step is to identify all the critical items that must be on your list. So take a few minutes, pause the program, and mark out your must-dos. Once you have that done, come back and meet up with me. The secret to time management is not really about getting more done. It's about choosing the most important things that need to get done and filling in around them. I call this time mapping. Setting aside time every week to look ahead to the most important commitments that we have. What appointments do we have? What are the household responsibilities that need to be accomplished? What would you like to make time for every day or week? Maybe it's exercise, devotions, classes like this one, hobbies, volunteer work, one-on-one time with your spouse, or maybe you'd just like to take a bubble bath. Make a list of what your important things are, and then using an hourly daily planner, mark in those first critical items. Once those items are in, you can take notice of the time that's left. The important things have been mapped, and the space that is left is now free to work in items that you've been wanting or needing to do but didn't have time. Okay, activity number 2. On that sheet of paper that you've got in front of you, list 1 to 3 things that you wish you could dedicate more time to. Maybe you'd like to complete a professional certification or get a degree. Maybe you need more quality family time, movies, game nights, nature walks, just time to have fun together as a family. Maybe you'd like to start a new hobby or pick a hobby back up that you've put off to the side. Or maybe you just need to connect to your partner or your spouse in a more tangible way. Okay, pause the program again and mark down 1 to 3 things you wish you could dedicate more time to. The next key thing to our time map is color. Just as every map has keys to help make it easier to read, color will be the key to navigating your time map. For each one of the main categories of your life, you're going to assign it a color. And then when you block those items onto your calendar, you're going to mark them with their assigned color. This will help you make immediate visual connections to your schedule. The other added bonus of using color to block your schedule is that you are going to come to appreciate the white space all that much more. White spaces on your map are the times of your day when nothing is scheduled. By seeing the white space, you're able to visually see the margins of your life with so much more clarity. This will help you evaluate if there are things that you can add, things that you should add, but it's also going to help you see if there is a need to eliminate things from your schedule because there's just not nearly enough hours in the day. For each one of the main categories of your life, we're going to assign a color. Color is going to help make you see immediate visual connections to your schedule, and we are going to come to really appreciate those white spaces. All right, it's activity time again. Using your piece of paper, mark out the must-do items from activity 1 on a schedule worksheet. We have one available on our website. You can pause the program, go and print that out. Using an hourly schedule, we are going to mark out the must-do items and begin filling in our worksheet. This is an example of a completed time map. You can see how the color, first of all, makes it so much easier to see where you are in the day, but also what's coming up. So if we work from top to bottom, you'll see that the day began at 7 a.m. I moved right into exercise, and from exercise right into my devotions. And then from there, you can see how the plan begins to change, varying on the day that you are looking at. I like to plan my days. Mondays are usually my get it done days. If I have to handle anything for our homeschooling week, lesson plans, adding grades in, doing grading, that all happens on Mondays and it gets entered in for the rest of the week. Meal planning, budgeting, paying bills, these all often happen on Monday just so that I can have a designated time that I sit down and I work on them. The white space that we talked about, well, we can see lots of white on this map, and that's good. Using that as a guide, I can make a determination if adding something into my schedule is going to make me or break me. Another critical thing that I want to point out here is that it is so important to make time for yourself in your daily schedule. Just because you're busy doesn't mean that you're productive. Our most productive selves happen when we are rested and centered, both physically and emotionally. As a mom, I'm constantly pouring myself out into the lives of my family. As a businesswoman, I do the same for my clients. And then there comes a time when unless I stop and recharge, there's absolutely nothing left for me to pour. When you get on an airplane and they drop down those oxygen masks, what's the very first thing they tell you to do? If you are traveling with a child, please secure your mask first before you secure that of your child's. Or if you are traveling with an elderly, please secure your mask first before you reach out to help others with their mask. And that's because it's so important that you have time to breathe and ingest that oxygen so you have the strength to be able to move on and help others in their journey as well. So, I have a designated timeout every afternoon. This is my Melissa has left the building moment. I know productivity happens through intentionality, and I intentionally make myself rest and recharge because I want to be able to continue pouring into the lives of those around me. This does not make me selfish. It makes me smart. The next key thing that we need to remember when we're learning to live a more productive life and when we're trying to keep all those plates spinning, you're going to find that some of those plates are going to fall down and break, and that's okay. There's learning to be had in our mistakes. The key is not to give up, but instead to take on an attitude of constant improvement. You may need to readjust your schedule. There may be things that you need to let go because in this season, there's just better choices for you and for your time. Changing the map does not mean that you failed and you should quit. Quite the opposite. By recognizing that a change needs to be made, you've recognized a need for improvement in your life and you're taking the steps needed to get there. Those are all great things. Learning to live a more productive, full lifestyle will take practice. But the key to remember is that changing the map does not mean that you've failed. Quite the opposite. I recommend that you live with your map for about 30 days before you make any huge significant change. Obviously, you can tweak it slightly, but really try to live that intentional lifestyle for 30 days. And then if you really see and identify some big changes, then go ahead, change the map, work it in. These are steps to improvement. It's not a jail cell. It's to help you. So let it do that. Let it help. All right. In order to practice long enough to gain any useful skill, you have to first find your motivation to make the investment. So, I ask the question to you, what is your motivation to finding balance in your time organization? Maybe the things that used to bring you joy have moved to the back seat. Maybe you feel disconnected to your spouse or your children because there's just no time to enjoy each other. Maybe your lack of time is costing you money or creating poor health. Whatever your motivation is, you need to acknowledge it and store it at the forefront of your mind. Because when those challenging days come, and they will, the day where the dog breaks through the invisible fence, or the child makes that huge colossal mess that you now have to go clean up, or the emergency doctor's appointment or errand that needed to be run, those days are going to challenge you. So when they come, what's your motivation that's going to help you dig down deep? All right, time for another activity. We're going to take a minute, and on your sheet, just write down, I know your screen says share with the person next to you, but mark down why you aren't doing more of the items. And would you be willing to share that with your spouse or with a friend later this evening? Here's why. Accountability is so crucial. Before we dig into this point, I want to share with you the story of Jean. Jean struggled for years to lose weight. On one particular morning, she woke up completely frustrated and disillusioned with all of her weight loss attempts and failures. She called her friends and invited them over to her house. And once the friends were all gathered in her living room, Jean began opening up to them about her struggles with weight loss, but specifically her biggest struggle, cookies. She feared shame and ridicule from those friends, but instead, she found that her friends offered her empathy and support. They also began to share their food struggles. And from that day on, the friends met weekly, sharing their successes and their challenges, cheering each other forward. After a time, the group grew, and soon they were trying to squeeze 40 people into Jean's tiny New York apartment. As a group, they began to realize that through support, challenge, and encouragement from people who cared, lives were changing. Bad habits were being replaced by good habits. Because of Jean's willingness to humble herself in front of her small group of friends, a movement that we now know today as Weight Watchers was born. Opening yourself to explain your actions, struggles, and motivations to somebody is incredibly humbling. It can be really hard to admit to the times when you're not always your best self, when you're not always making good choices for yourself. But having an accountability partner can help you identify struggles that you may be too close to see. Your partners can pray for you, they can encourage you, they can support you, and they can call you out if it's needed in the areas of your life that you know you can and should be doing better. Had Jean continued her private battle with overindulging in cookies, she would have missed the blessing of deep connection with her friends. She would have missed the blessing of losing the weight that she had battled with for years, and the company that has since helped so many people would never have been born. If you want success in an area of your life, you need to bring it out into the open. Commit yourself to being accountable to seeing it through. No matter what stage of life you're in, you can find balance in your 24 hours by mapping your schedule, practicing and making improvements where needed, and tapping into your motivation and creating accountability for yourself. And when you see these steps working, you will see an increase in your productivity and your joy. So, I hope that you will go out, get yourself an hourly daily planner, and begin time mapping today. Thanks for taking this time with me. I look forward to connecting with you soon. Find us on our Facebook and meet us over at morein24.com. Bye, guys.
other South